You've seen him pretty much every pay-per-view that you've turned on the WWE Network, Raw, SmackDown, live events. You can't miss him. He's the guy wearing makeup and a brightly colored rainbow clown wig. He is WWE's Superfan Frank the Clown, Frank Mustari.
You know, it's not makeup, it's face paint. We have to differentiate that.
Wow. Calling me out already.
Immediately, I have to always call people out on that. So it's face paint.
I'll tell you, it does sound a lot more manly when you say face paint.
It does. It's like a natural reaction for me now. Like, I've been correcting people for so long that it just rolls right off my tongue without even thinking about it.
Well, we're glad to have you on the show. Obviously, like I said, you have pretty much done everything there is to do as a fan. And we wanted to definitely get you on the show to just kind of talk to you and give the other people listening just a glimpse into the crazy life that you lead. I'm going to just start right from the beginning. So I'm going to ask you, do you remember the first time that you watched anything professional wrestling?
Yeah, and I definitely do. It was, I want to say like 96. I was only like 6 years old, like 7 years old then, and I was the Spring Break Nitro, where one of the outdoor ones they did with, they was right when the NWO was forming, so it was even before Hogan was in the NWO, and it was when Nash and Hall were just wreaking havoc upon just beating the hell out of everyone by the trailers and throwing Rey Mysterio into the trailer, and then beating up like Scotty Riggs and Marcus Bagwell, the American males, and like just all chaos was just totally breaking loose. And then they got in their limo, and Macho Man hopped in the limo and drove away. And that was like, I was just flipping through the channels like my dad back in the day, and like I was like, we stopped on it, like I was like totally like captivated by it. I was like, wow, this is awesome. Like I didn't know any better, you know, I totally thought it was real. And literally from that point on, like I was hooked, and I was like a straight WCW fanboy, like as a kid. Like I wasn't switching to WWF, I was just WCW. I loved the NWO. I loved Hulk Hogan. I wanted to be him. I was him for Halloween like 3 years in a row, and I hated Bill Goldberg, and like I was such a little mark from like when I was 6 years old, and now like I'm the same exact person, and it's like 18 years later.
Wait a minute. Did you say it's not real? What is this
Yep.
true?
Oh no, I'm sorry, Creed. I didn't mean to do that.
Oh, it's like finding out Santa Claus doesn't exist all over again.
It's devastating.
I'm just gonna put spoiler alert on this entire episode.
Right. Do not listen to this if you are. Do not listen if you are a wrestling fan. You cannot listen if you believe.
Well, Frank, you told us, you grew up during the Attitude Era. You didn't flip the channels like us. You were on WCW. Do you remember maybe the first live event that you ever attended? Is there like a memory of that at all that sticks out?
I remember a couple. I don't know, like chronologically when the first one was. I remember going to a couple Nitros, and I remember it was like Hogan and Piper on one of them, and like I remember Goldberg was in the middle of his undefeated streak, so it had to been like sometime in '97. He was facing Van Hammer. That sticks in my mind that he was facing Van Hammer and like squashed him in like 25 seconds, you know. I went to another Nitro. It was Hogan and Warrior, so that had been '98. That was like Warrior's short run. I remember like the ring filling up with smoke and just nonsense going on. And as for WWF, I went to a house show at the Allstate Arena. It was then the Rosemont Horizon, and like I remember the card was like incredible. It was like Shawn versus Taker and Austin versus Dude Love, and like I think The Rock wrestled like I want to say like Ken Shamrock or something. Like I don't remember. That had to have been sometime in '97, '98. So I don't know what the first event was, but there was like a bunch of them that I went to. Like my dad brought me to like right around that time.
Yeah, that's a better memory than I have because, like you said, I don't have that exact memory, like the memory of the first show that happened. But all I have as a memory is Jimmy Snuka versus the Honky Tonk Man in a steel cage match at the Mid-Hudson Civic Center, and all I remember is Snuka pulling Honky Tonk Man's pants down and seeing nothing but a big white butt, and that's unfortunately one of my early memories of pro wrestling. I wish I had something good like Snuka flying off the top of the cage, but I don't know. That's unfortunately my memory I have.
It's just burned into your
It
brain
is.
for the rest of your life.
It's there forever.
So right away, I'm gonna have to ask, and I think I know the answer already. But as you were growing up and going through WCW, did you have a favorite wrestler at the time?
Yeah, it was definitely, like I said, Hogan.
Oh, I thought it was gonna be Van Hammer.
Van Hammer is definitely up there
Yes.
as well. Prince Iaukea is up there. The Maestro, the Yeti. Yeah, like Scott Hall was definitely one. I still love Scott Hall to this day. I thought he was awesome. Like he was just such a badass, and you were just that totally like Joe Cool kind of guy, and you just kind of like wanted to be him. I would like walk around like elementary school doing the Scott Hall walk and like throwing out my papers in the recycling bin. Literally legit would do that. It's like Hogan, and like I like Nash too. It wasn't like one of my top favorites, but just because of the NWO. I always like Big Papa Pump. He was just hilarious. He's just always been so funny. And he's just such a maniac that you just have to love him. So I'd say like a couple of those guys. And Sting. I always loved Sting, even though he was against the NWO. I just was fascinated with Sting. Like he came down from the rafters. I wasn't at that Nitro for the first time, and it was at the United Center in Chicago. Yeah, that was the first time he came down, like right next to the Michael Jordan banners and stuff. But wasn't there, bummer. But yeah, Sting, Hogan, Nash, Hall, Scott Steiner. They was definitely all my favorites.
All right. Well, Frank, I got the question, pretty much the question that we're all wanting to know. Why a clown? I mean, when did you come up with your alter ego? And how long does it take you to put on your face paint? I got it right, Jonathan. See?
Yeah.
Face paint.
There we go. It started. I wish I had like a really cool story for it, but I kind of don't. It started as a joke. There was a second clown once upon a time. That was one of my close friends. He goes by Dubs, it was before WrestleMania 24. We were in Orlando, sitting down at like a Long John Silver, some like ratty ass fast food place, and we were talking. We're like, oh, we got to do something like to stand out. Like we should go to the shows and do something funny, like to stand out. And we were like, just shooting all these ideas out there. And he came up. He's like, why don't we dress as clowns? Now he said it completely joking, like not serious at all. But I was like, that's genius. That's a brilliant. Let's do it. And he's just like, whatever. Still thinking it was like a one-time deal. So we went and bought like these terrible, gaudy costumes and like plastic clown shoes and gloves and hats and like just the whole 9 yards.
The full Doink the Clown almost.
And I'm ashamed of myself that I did all this. I didn't know any better. But we ended up going this was 2008. So the first show we ever went to was like just some random ECW SmackDown taping in Grand Rapids, Michigan, which is like 2.5 hours, 3 hours from me. And we bought like front row and like we sat around the TV side and like it was a hit. Like everybody, all of the wrestlers were giving us like fun interactions. Everyone that was sitting in the crowd thought it was hilarious. And like we were totally acting like assholes the whole time, which made it even funnier because like look at these clowns. They're giving Batista the middle finger. They're swearing like crazy. So that kind of like it took off from there. So like we kept up with it for a little bit. And then I kind of like the rest is history. He kind of faded out of it. And like he kind of passed the torch to me in a way. And I kind of got really crazy and started traveling more. And then, here I am. I'm on your podcast, so I made it.
I mean, it sounds like you murdered him, is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
We have to find out the true story from Dubs and get like another unauthorized biography on Dubs the Clown. What really happened?
I'm glad you read in between the lines there. I won't say anything more, but yeah.
Go ahead, Credo.
No, to follow up on that too is how long did it take for you to put on your face paint at every show? Is there a time limit too?
I've pretty much mastered it now. I like to like joke around and say that I have different qualities of face paint. Like I'll have a house show quality, a Raw quality, a pay-per-view quality, and then there's like WrestleMania quality. So based on what show it is, I put more effort into it. But I can pretty much have it done like within 10 minutes now. It's a pretty simple setup I got. I just put the red on around my face and my nose, and then just lather my face.
Lather.
In the white, with just all the white. And I pretty much am a total master of the fine arts of clown face paint at this point.
Awesome.
Now, with that being said, how many wigs do you own?
I want to say like 4 or 5 right now, but like 2 of them are terrible. they're just like so like just so terrible looking, and they're like really like puffy and big, and they're really outrageous. Not that clown wigs aren't outrageous as it is, but these ones are like a whole nother level of outrageous. So I have a handful. Like I have a slew of clown wigs I can select from.
Now I've seen you with CM Punk, and I've seen you with John Cena wearing the wigs. Are they hesitant at first at putting the wig on, or what?
No, they were both like stoked on doing it. Like the Cena one was last week, and like I had a bag, and I was talking to like like one of the WWE publicists that was with them that I know, and he's like, "What do you got in the bag?" And I'm like, "Oh, you know what I got in the bag?" And like I flashed the wig, and he's like, "Oh my god, I can't wait!" So that was like the last one in line for this photo. So I walked in there, and like he saw me right away, and I had the bag, and he's like, "I know what's coming. I know what's about to happen, and I've been waiting my entire life for this moment." And I bestowed the wig upon him. He put it over his hat, which is hilarious. And yeah, awesome photo. So like same with Punk too. Like he was like examining it before he put it on. It was like feeling it out, and yeah, so everybody was totally on board with it, which is awesome.
Nice.
So we've already established at this point in your career, you've went to WCW, ECW, WWE events. Is there any way that you can estimate how many live events you've been to over the years?
It's tough. I kind of break it down. Like I had pay-per-view chairs and stuff, and like I think I got like 40 pay-per-view chairs, like just stacking up in a spare room. And then I've been to like the last like 9 WrestleManias, and then I've been to like countless Raws and house shows. So I mean, if I had to give a rough estimate, and I have like all my ticket stubs like locked away like in like a little like box somewhere, I'd have to count them up one day. But I want to say like 150 shows over and a majority of them have been over the past 5 years, which is just crazy. So like 25 shows a year that comes out to, that's about right, I think. So it's a lot. It's a lot. That's one thing for sure.
Now you are from Chi-Town, Chicago.
Yeah.
In your humble, unbiased opinion, is Chicago the greatest WWE city, or what's a close second? What do you think?
I don't know if there's a close second because we're just so far ahead of the pack. But yeah, I try to explain to people like that haven't been to a Chicago show, like there's really nothing like it. Like it's from the instant you enter that building, there's a buzz in the air, and like it really was. It meant more when Punk was around because like obviously he's our hero and like this, the hometown guy and everything. So like when anytime a Raw or pay-per-view was in Chicago and Punk was there, it was a totally different feel. Now don't get me wrong, it's still like a different feel. Like we had the Raw in March where like some people thought Punk was coming back and we were just chanting for him the whole night. And Payback and stuff, but yeah, it really. I think the crowd in Chicago gets it. Like they understand, like, hey, we're a part of the show too. Like, let's make our voices heard, and like, let's be fun. Let's have fun. Like, we take. I think like everybody as a whole takes pride in like trying to be the loudest crowd every single time. And now like we get the most shows I think a year here. Like we could get like 4 or 5 shows. We get a pay-per-view every year, and like they always seem to put on really big Raws when they're here. It's not an accident. They plan around it. So I would say like New York's up there. I've been to shows in the Garden. The Garden's awesome. I've been to shows in Boston. Boston's awesome, and I've never been to Canada, but I know like they need to go to Toronto more, and like the Montreal crowds are good. So I mean, there's other crowds that are really really good, but I think Chicago is kind of on another level.
All right. Well, you just kind of. I was going to get into this a little bit later, but I mean, I have to go into it now. You talked about CM Punk. Obviously, recently you wrote an amazing article, kind of chronicling.
Thank you.
Yeah. Everybody should check that out. And I want you to give the the link or whatever. I don't have it right here, but it basically chronicled your entire history with CM Punk. How do you think that WWE's changed without him?
I'm sure they've called him numerous times and tried writing a blank check to him because the programming right now is just the last couple of weeks in SummerSlam has just been terrible. There's no way around it. It's just they seem to get lazy after SummerSlam, and like after SummerSlam to the Rumble, they kind of just don't care as much. And then like when WrestleMania season starts kicking in the gear, that's when they start turning it up again. And I kind of understand that, but I think it's almost like a one step forward, two step back thing because, after he left, Bryan got the huge push and, WrestleMania and everything. WrestleMania was awesome. And like coming out of WrestleMania, you had the Shield was really hot and like you had Evolution come back and Bryan was still champion. And like it seemed like everyone was kind of firing on all cylinders. But then like as time went on, now here we are and like Bryan's hurt, Punk's gone, Ambrose is filming a movie, Cena, same old stuff. Lesnar, your champion's not on TV every week. And, like, there's a lack of stars. And, like, they're trying to push Roman and Dean and Rollins and, Bray and those guys. But there's just not those they just don't have those superstars at the top besides Cena and, like, Lesnar when he's there. Like, Bryan, because, Punk was, like, the number 2 guy. So without him, like, there's a huge void. And Bryan was supposed to be that guy. And now Bryan's hurt. And, like, there's just not that guy that's there anymore. So I think they're really starting to feel the effects of him being gone now more than ever than like right from the start.
Now, I know that you did have you still do have some sort of, rapport with Punk. Do you know if he read the article? Have you heard?
I sent it to him and I haven't heard anything back. So he knows he's gotten it. He's aware of it. Has he read it? I'm not sure. I think he's trying to distance himself from wrestling as much as he can. So, maybe he doesn't want to even take that stroll down memory lanes. It might make him sad. I don't know. And it was a lot to read. It was like 15,000 words. So, like, I can understand, if he doesn't have the time to do it. But, yeah, I sent it to him, a message to him. And, if he gets around to it, he comes out of hiding every so often. I hear from him every now and then. So, he knows it's there, and if he reads it, awesome. If not, it is what it is. I still wrote it because I just wanted to get my feelings out there, and like it was something I felt like I really wanted to do and kind of had to do. So, yeah, if he reads it, fucking awesome. But otherwise, it's there, so it's always not going anywhere. So it could be a year from now if he reads it, for all I care.
Yeah, CM Punk, if you're listening, and I'm sure you are, because read the damn article. All right, just get it out of the way. It's a great article.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh no, I mean like it. I don't read. I'm sorry, I just don't. And like I started it, and I was like, there goes the first part, and then I just was like anxiously awaiting the second part, and then obviously it was just as good as the first. So
thank you, man.
Do you think he'll return someday? I mean, they always let me answer this. Hi, I'm Frank. Never say never. But I mean, do you? I don't have a Chicago accent, but do you think he'll come back or?
Oh man, I don't know. Like I go back and forth on it. Like if he does, I don't think it's going to be for a couple of years. I think like he's kind of got to recharge those batteries still. Like. He's recently married and he's got all this time to do whatever he wants. And like, he's got the money in the bank to like, no pun intended, like to do what he wants with his life. And he was really beat up before he left and really, really beat up. Like I remember like having a small chat with him after a Chicago show. Like it was in December. So like really a month before he left and like he was gone. Like after that contract expired in July, he was going to take time off, I think, regardless. And he's just, every time I saw him, he was complaining about how he's just hurt and he's sore. So I think regardless, like I said, he was taking time off, but I don't know. Like I could see him coming back because I think like every wrestler has an ego and it's not a bad thing. I think everyone has an ego. And I think like, wouldn't you want to get that proper send off? Like, have that last match like at Chicago or something, or like have that last run and kind of get that, you don't want to kind of go out like that. Like the last memory of him with people is him getting chokeslammed through a table at the Rumble by Kane, and like that's a bad way to go out. And it wasn't it was his choice to do that, but I think everybody wants to have that final send off, and I wouldn't doubt in like 2 years or so like he gets that itch and he's back for that one final run.
Sure. Now you talked about with CM Punk leaving, we talked about with Daniel Bryan out on injury and so on. Do you feel it's safe to say that the fans, I think more now than ever, have become a huge part of the show, not just as spectators, but being as, the third voice or so. For example, like we had that Hijack Raw show, #Hijack Raw, a while back. Do you think it was an abuse of power, just fans letting off steam? Do you think now with social media, fans can really be more vocal on what they want? And even at shows, I mean, some of the crowds, I think, the past year or two have been the most vocal I have ever seen lately, at least, at shows. Do you think, I don't know, do you think it's safe to say that they're becoming a huge part now, a huge part of the show?
Yeah, definitely. Like that hijack Raw was Chicago. That was supposed to be that. And like I'm not all for hijacking the show. Like there because there's like a line of respect. Like for instance, I'm a huge Cody Rhodes fan, and like I don't want to be chanting for CM Punk in Chicago during a Cody Rhodes match because like it's disrespectful. Like there's like action going on in the ring. Like go and chant for Cody Rhodes or chant for these guys that are there. And like I'm all for chanting for CM Punk like in Chicago because it's fun. But there's like a time and a place for it. So I think like these crowds in these big cities, like I said, like the Chicagos and New Yorks and like the LAs and stuff, they want to go out and make an impact and kind of get their guys over and like we want Ziggler, like kind of let the backstage know, like the people backstage, the powers to be, like, hey, we want these guys. And whether or not they listen, that's one thing. But they listened when the Daniel Bryan stuff went down because that wasn't the original plan. And so I mean, that's huge. That the fans basically almost booked WrestleMania in a way, which is like it's awesome. It's cool. And I feel like it's starting. It might start again. I feel like they're going to go down the same road with Dean Ambrose, where like these crowds are going to start going wild for Ambrose, and like they're going to start shoving Roman Reigns down everyone's throats. And I feel like it's still a long way away from WrestleMania, but I feel like that they're kind of starting to like go down that path. So it'll be interesting to see like if these crowds start going wild behind someone again.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, for those of you who don't know, most everybody in WWE and some in TNA and everything else, you've met. You've got pictures with just about everybody. Do you remember the first pro wrestler you ever met?
Oh man, that's a good question. First one, I went to a Hulk Hogan signing. Like around my house, I was in like third grade. I got taken out of school early, and I was like at like some Tower Records or something. And I remember like I wore like a I wore a Pokemon shirt. I just remember wearing a Pokemon shirt to this Hulk Hogan signing, and he would like made a comment about it. He's like, my son likes Charizard, like Charizard's his favorite brother, and I was just like, yeah, like nodding my head, like starstruck by him. So I think that might have been like the first time I met anyone. So I was like, totally young then. Like I think I met like Hacksaw Jim Duggan in some like bowling alley when I was a kid too. Like I have some like crappy paper 8x10 signed by him. That was like from way back. So those were like the earliest ones I can remember.
All right. Now, Frank, you've been on DVDs, you've been on Raw recaps, magazines, interviews, just about everything else having to do with pro wrestling. Do you have a crowning moment of fandom that you've achieved, or is there anything that you've been on that you're even impressed still to this day?
I mean, yeah, it's cool. Like I've been in the magazine a couple times, which is awesome. And like I didn't even know I was in it ahead of time. So like I'm just flipping through the magazine. I'm like, oh wow, there's me. Like that's cool. But I think the number one moment that I always look at was in 2011. It was Raw in Boston. It was just like literally a random Raw I flew out for, and it was the John Cena Mick Foley "This Is Your Life" segment. And during that segment, I was sitting like right, like I don't know, like second or third row, like right in the center. And Cena was in the ring, and he was kind of scanning across the crowd, and like we locked eyes with each other, nothing crazy. And then like a minute later, like Mick Foley, which is hilarious, is rambling on about something, and Cena's like, who are you going to bring out next? Frank the Clown? And I was like, and it didn't click with me at first. I'm like, wait I really only heard clown. And I was like, what? And then he turned, like my friend John, WWE's biggest fan. I think you guys are familiar with him. Like he was sitting on the other side, and he's like, or the WWE's biggest fan. Now, John didn't hear any of this because he was like in his own little world, but I knew what was going on, and my phone blew up, and I was like, holy crap, like John Cena said my name on Raw. I had like 1% battery on my phone, and like I was sitting by myself too. Like I didn't know anybody around me, so like I had nobody to take in this moment with. Like I'm like scrambling, looking around for someone to tell. I was like, oh my god, my phone dies. So like I hop my chair. The Rock comes out, like Mick and Rock battles Mick Foley. I didn't give a damn. So like I'm like running towards John. I'm like, dude, do you know what just happened? He's like, no. I'm like, look at your phone. And yeah, like that was one of the coolest things ever. Like I was like that I name drop on television, and that was a couple of years ago too. So I've done a lot since then. So that was kind of like the moment where I was like, okay, like this is paid off. This is awesome. Like, I had that moment forever to look back on. So John Cena, the biggest star and all that, like a big segment, like didn't have to do that. Awesome.
Very cool.
I actually think I have to. I owe you something. I don't know, but in one of the WWE magazines, it said that like if I got a picture with you or sign guy or something, I get like 1,000,000 points or something. So
yeah, you get points. Yeah, because we have a picture. We have multiple pictures. I think we have like 1 or 2 pictures. I believe.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that they're hanging above my bed, but but they may be.
I still need points. Damn it!
Yeah, you'll get your points. We'll make sure we get you those points.
One day, my own crowning achievement will be the Frank the Clown photo.
So now we're talking the current product. What do you? Are you happy with pro wrestling currently? Do you think that it's a really good time to be a fan? With, like you said, the fans basically booked WrestleMania. We have Kevin Steen coming up, Kenta, Prince Devet. I mean, like, what are your thoughts on the current product?
Well, the last 3 weeks have been terrible, just absolutely horrible, in my opinion. Since SummerSlam, they just haven't been that good. Aside from the Rollins and Ambrose match at the Raw after SummerSlam, then I really love the Stardust and Goldust stuff that's going on. Other than that, Raw last night was a chore for me. I tweeted about it. I just couldn't keep it in. I hated what was going on. I hated what was being fed to me. But I know they'll ramp it up. I know it's just me being like a jaded fan and just like wanting the best at all times, and that's not possible. But like you said, like NXT, they got all these stars and all like Kevin Steen and like Devitt and everything, and it's just awesome. I can't wait to see them all debut, and the future's in good hands. You know that everybody is going to get their time to shine. So I'm not worried at the future or the direction of the company. Just right at this very moment, week to week on Raw and stuff, it's just not that good. And it's just that, like I said, the lazy time of the year. It's tough. When Lesnar's not there every week, your champion's not there every week. It's different. It's unique. It's different. But once Ambrose comes back and stuff, and Bryan gets healthy, and Roman starts getting that real, he's really starting to get ahead on that push and stuff, and they find direction for Orton and Bray, everything's going to start lining up again. So the pieces are there, they just got to kind of fit it all together.
All right, now speaking of Raw and stuff, or just WWE in general, or it doesn't even have to be WWE. It could be any place right now. But who are some of your favorite superstars and divas right now that you think would actually make Raw more compelling, besides maybe the obvious choices? You said like Roman Reigns and stuff like that, and if we get Daniel Bryan back. But is there anybody that you really like right now at the moment? Even if it's not WWE, though. I mean, anybody in general that you're a fan of that you think would be doing good right now on TV.
I go back always to Cody Rhodes. I like the Stardust stuff now that they kind of turned heel. I like that a lot. I like to see him branch out on his own and do something, but patience is a virtue. I'm sure he will. Again, Ambrose, he's already been getting that push, so they're already, they know what they got with him. I'm still waiting to see Sami Zayn get called up. I want to make sure he gets called up in the right position instead of just getting called up like Adam Rose and just floundering when he gets up there. Some guys that don't get a lot of credit, like Heath Slater. I want more Heath Slater. He's super entertaining. He's a good wrestler. He's hilarious. I wish that they would do something serious with him instead of having a bunny rabbit beat him up. And even a guy like Justin Gabriel, who I've always been a fan of, and he hasn't been on TV in God knows how long. I know he does stuff on NXT, but he's super athletic. He's got a good look. He's proven he can put on good matches with the Nexus and stuff. Somebody like that would be awesome. Just give him a mid-run, a mid-card run, and just let him let loose and and be athletic and it'll work. But they have their guys that they want, and we'll see how it with NXT and everything, how they develop the Kevin Steen and everything. It's gonna be really interesting, especially with Steen. How are they gonna use him? So I'm looking forward to it.
All right.
So obviously, we've talked about some of the big events that you've been to. You've been to, you said, the past 9 WrestleManias, which means that probably you've went to the past 9 Raws after WrestleMania. I know that you were there for 29 because I did see you the night after at the Izod Center.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on like the fans? I mean, that night particularly, WrestleMania 29 was when JBL was getting chanted for, and Lawler,
Yeah.
and the Cotton Candy guy, and
Yeah.
just literally everybody. I mean, I know that the fans just have fun with it, and it's a huge influx of the overseas fans as well. So, do you think that the wrestlers and everybody involved enjoy that just as much as the fans, or what are your thoughts on the Raw after Mania?
Cotton Candy Guy rules, first off.
Yes.
Glad he got over that night, yeah. I'm sure Randy Orton and Sheamus aren't thrilled because I remember that was the match where the fans just didn't care and were just chanting for anything.
Yes.
And it was hilarious. Like, I'm sure everybody backstage thought it was hilarious except those two guys in the ring. So, no, I think, like, now definitely the Raw for WrestleMania since that Raw, and even like the one before in Miami, like I think it's kind of become like an event itself. So everybody knows going into that show, like the crowd's gonna be wild because of those overseas fans, because of all the hardcore fans that are traveled to be there. So it's kind of become a spectacle in itself. I think the wrestlers have to enjoy it because I think you'd much rather wrestle in front of a wild crowd than a silent crowd, even if they're booing you or they're chanting whatever. At least they're chanting something. I think you just rather have that than silence. So, and I think it makes for like fun interactions and like it's so unpredictable. You just never know what these crowds are going to do. Like the Yes was born at the Raw for WrestleMania for the most part. Then like the Fandangoing and stuff. And then like this year, the whole world, Bray Wyatt in its hands. Those were all born on those Raws at the WrestleMania. So you kind of look forward to like who's going to be that star this year that gets that big rub from the crowd. And like, so it's cool. It's definitely like one of the top 2-3 Raws of the year that I look forward to now, just because it's just chaos.
All right, well, speaking of shows that you can't miss, without stating the obvious of WrestleMania or the Raw after WrestleMania, is there one show that Frank the Clown can't miss every year? Is there one show that you just need to go to besides WrestleMania?
The Rumble. Definitely the Rumble. I've went the last 4 or 5 years, and it's so much fun to watch on TV because I watched it on TV in years prior. But like when you're there, it's completely different because like you're sitting there and like the Rumble's going on, you're trying to like process of elimination, like who's left, how many surprise spots do we got, and like everyone counts down and gets so excited. And like this year's Rumble was a complete like shit show, but it was fun because like the crowd was so mad.
Yeah,
everybody was just so pissed off that like it was so much fun to be a part of that. Like poor little Rey Mysterio getting booed out of the building. It was hilarious, like looking back on it, but like you feel bad for the guy because it's not his fault. But yeah, the Rumble is definitely the one like I need to go to every year, and like I make plans to go to every year. Like definitely over SummerSlam, over anything else. Like Rumble is so much fun. Like I strongly suggest anybody who can get to the Rumble. I think this year it's in Philly, so it's kind of near your guy. It's kind of near you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll be there.
Yeah, it's so worth it. It's so much fun.
Now you stated that you've got probably close to 40 pay-per-view chairs. Is there anything else that you collect as far as wrestling memorabilia goes? Like I know that you probably have an entire wardrobe of things that have been thrown to you as well. So is there anything, like I collect a little bit of everything, so it's just interesting to find out what super fans are collecting.
Yeah, I used to be a big action figure guy, and then I kind of faded out of it. Like I was on eBay, stalking eBay, buying them in bulk, like all the Jakks classics and everything. And then like once Mattel took over, I wasn't a huge fan, so I kind of slowed down. And so I mean, I don't have anything like specific that I'm like collecting as a whole. If I see something cool like on the website or like at a show, I'll buy it, or on eBay. But I'm not crazy about memorabilia so much anymore. I print out like a lot of my photos that I take, so I put them in like an 8x10 form, and I like frame them. I put them up on the wall, so that kind of counts. But yeah, I mean, I really don't have anything super like crazy a collection that I got going. I got a bunch of random like just weird stuff from like the years. But the chairs are definitely the most prized possessions right now. And even though they're just collecting dust, they're just cool to have. So
Now,
yeah,
I just have to follow up with this real quick. You, the other day, you mentioned John Glick, who is WWE's biggest fan.
yeah,
He, I think he either put on Facebook or tweeted out a photo of a storage unit that he
yeah.
has, just full of pay-per-view chairs. So. I guess that we are all kind of saddled with this question because I get it all the time too. Is what are you going to end up doing with these pay per view chairs? And yeah. I mean, do you have anything in mind or?
Yeah, he's got a crazy. I've been to his. He calls his storage unit like the pit of death or something. I don't know, because it's just literally a black hole of wrestling stuff. It's hysterical because he has like over 100 chairs. It's insane, but yeah, I guess if I'm I could use them for like a wedding one day if I wanted to like be really unique and I can put wrestling chairs down instead of normal chairs or like a big dinner party. Yeah, I don't know. I guess like if a rainy day were to come and I'd be in like a really bad place financially, I mean, there's money in the chairs. I don't plan on selling them because I don't like selling any of my stuff. No, I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to do with them. I'm sure they're going to sit around for the next 5 years and do nothing. So.
Now, Frank, is there anything else that you are passionate about besides the WWE? Like, are we going to see you show up somewhere else in the Frank the Clown gimmick, being Frank the Clown, or it's just strictly WWE? I mean, anything else you're passionate about?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge sports guy. Like, I almost say that I'm a bigger sports guy sometimes in wrestling, just because I've always been just sports everything, especially football. I'm a diehard St. Louis Rams fan. I'm going to the home opener this Sunday. I'm driving down there for it. I'm a big White Sox, Bulls fan, everything else Chicago. But yeah, so I mean, I'm a huge sports guy. I've thought about going and expanding the Clown Horizons to like baseball games or football games. Football games are hard because like, in the sense of like getting on TV, there's not really a lot of, time for that. But for baseball, I've been very close to and the White Sox games don't draw out here. Nobody goes to the White Sox games. So like tickets are pretty affordable. I've really came close a couple times to buying seats behind home plate, like first row dead center behind home plate. And I was going to dress as a clown, and like I'm sure it would have been on Sports Center and stuff like that. And like there's still time for me to do it. People would be so confused because like I'm entering a whole new world. Nobody would get it. But I think it'd be hilarious. I thought about going to a Bulls game and like trying to sit courtside, which is insane priced. I had to do it like one time and that'd be it as a clown. But then I learned Derrick Rose is afraid of clowns, so I don't know if I want to throw him off his game. I've thought about it. Never say never. I don't know. I do want to do the baseball thing like soon. I would love to do it because I think it'd be so funny.
Right.
Yeah, so we'll see.
So another obvious question that we've wanted to ask is, other than WWE, are you watching any other wrestling?
Not really. I never watched TNA. I barely watch. I don't even watch SmackDown. Like I read the spoilers. I DVR it every week. I never really get around to it. I'll go and check out something if I hear something's good, but. I keep tabs on like Ring of Honor. I don't watch it. I don't ever order anything. And then I keep I watch NXT here and there, like on the network, and try to catch up on that. But I'm really just kind of a WWE guy, but I have a good knowledge of what's going on outside of it, like in the indie world and everything. And even like I try to keep tabs like the New Japan stuff when like Devitt was there and the Bullet Club and everything. So I don't get around to watching as much as I probably should, but I'm pretty well schooled in all the other promotions and the indie guys and everything. So like all those guys like Kenta and Devitt and Steen and Willie Mack and everything. Like I'm super familiar with Steen, but I'm really familiar. I've seen their work on YouTube and stuff. And but as for like watching week to week with TNA and stuff, no, I definitely don't.
All right. Since we talked a little bit about Punk, since he has left the WWE, who is currently filling your void as the new favorite? Is there anybody?
Whoa! I don't think you can say that on our podcast.
Well,
Yeah. Yeah. The void. well, that void will never be filled. But I've always been a huge John Cena fan. He's always been my number two. Like, despite everyone hates him or whatever, is tired of him, I've always loved Cena. So, like, I guess in a way, he stepped up to that number one spot for me. Like, he's the one that I'll pay to go see. Like, oh, Cena's on the show. Like, I think I'm gonna go to a house show in Moline, Illinois, like in a couple weeks, and Cena's on the show. And if Cena wasn't on the show, I wouldn't go. So Cena's getting my money in a sense. So I don't know if anybody's really taken that void. I would say Ambrose is next in line because I've always been a huge Ambrose fan, even pre WWE. I had like all those DVDs and stuff from CCW and like all the stuff, and so I would say like he's next in line, but like he's still got a little ways to go and to get in that discussion. So yeah.
All right.
Okay, so obviously we're beating a dead horse here, but you've been to anything and everything. Do you have a favorite match of all time?
Yeah, I always point to Punk and Cena at Money in the Bank. It was like I wrote about it. It was the perfect storm. It was in Chicago. Nobody knew if it was Punk's last match. My two favorite wrestlers going down, and like the biggest match of like the modern era, as far as I'm concerned. And the crowd was the best crowd ever. It's sad because I don't think that crowd will ever be topped. So it's kind of everyone's fighting for second. And that match was just awesome. Like the match delivered, it was awesome. And I think everybody remembers where they were when they watched that match and will remember for years and years to come. And I think I said in my article, my Punk article, it is sad because I can't see anything ever topping that for me personally. And I hope something does, but that was the perfect storm of just my two top guys and just the perfect storyline. And everyone was so hyped up and it was just done so perfectly. That's why, as much as WWE might suck the past couple weeks, like I know they have it in them to create moments like that and put on matches and storylines like that. And it was just incredible. It was emotional. It was just awesome. All my friends were there. Everybody got to take that in, with me, and it was super cool.
All right, now you've gone to more events than I'll probably ever go to in my lifetime. But have you ever missed an event or regretted not going to it?
Ooh, that's a good one. I would the one that's jumping out. I wouldn't say I hated myself for not going. It was just the idea of that I've been to the last 3 out of 4 SummerSlams. So just the idea of me wanting to go to or try to go to SummerSlam every year. I missed the one 2 years ago where it was Punk, Cena, and Big Show in the main event, and Triple H and Lesnar. It wasn't like a unbelievable SummerSlam by any means. I think it was just the idea that I missed a SummerSlam, and I was like, oh no, like I missed it, and like I couldn't make it out for that one. Other than that, oh, that's a good one. Yeah, I don't know. I guess like looking back at like a couple shows, something like the Nexus debut would have been awesome to be at. I would have never known that was going to happen ahead of time. So like you looking back and be like, oh, that'd be awesome to be at, but I didn't like regret not going. So it's like a SummerSlam or something like that. Another one would be the Elimination Chamber with Punk and Rock. Again, like everyone knew The Rock was winning. The match was solid. It wasn't anything 5-star match, but it just would have been cool to be there for that rematch because I was at the first one. And that match is never going to happen again. So that one kind of ate me alive a little bit. But so those are the 2 big ones, I'd say.
All right.
So for everybody who doesn't know but wants to know, you recently have been immortalized on a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Several, actually, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I have a pair of them. Yeah.
So where can people listening to this get one of those shirts?
Yeah, they're on barbershopwindow.com, which is awesome. For the longest time I thought about doing shirts, but I'm very self-conscious about like my reputation and my image, and I just didn't think that I deserved shirts. I'm just a fan. Like I didn't think I thought I could move some, and I did move some, and I just didn't think I was all necessarily worthy of it. But the opportunity came a knocking, and I wasn't going to say no, and it was a win-win for everyone involved. And it's pretty humbling. It's flattering. It's really, really cool. I haven't shilled them out there as much lately because I'm like, oh, when do I stop shilling them? And somebody's like, never stop shilling them. So I guess I got to put them out there a little bit more. But yeah, they're at they're on Barbershop Window and like 1 hour tees. They're stationed in the city here by me. They do all the work for it, and like they're totally awesome to work with. Like really, their customer service is really good, and they're very fair and with everything they do, and their shirts are high quality, and they have like so many awesome shirts that are way better than mine. And like I can easily say that, but yeah, it's pretty surreal. Like my family, like my parents thought it was like hilarious, and like like my friends, and they all thought it was just like, some of them like thought I was like a total asshole for having them, and some of them thought I was like super cool. So hey, if people are gonna buy them, I'm not gonna take that opportunity away from them. So buy them up if you want. Barbershop Window. Yeah,
we're doing it. Jonathan, I don't know about you, but I'm ordering my Frank the Clown shirt tonight.
Absolutely. My only question is, I'm a little concerned that there may be a time when there's like a smoking hot lady that's wearing one, and you somehow, the two of you are talking, and then the next thing you know, you're making out, she's getting clown face paint on her, and you look down, and she's wearing this shirt, and it's almost like, you're making out with yourself. And that's the only, that's the scenario that I've concocted in the 5 minutes that we've been talking about this. So just be careful. That's all I'm going to tell you.
There's been a couple scenarios that have popped up which are just hilarious. My ex-girlfriend, who we're friends and everything now, she waits tables kind of like 15 minutes from my house, and she texted me like 2 weeks ago. And I just couldn't, I thought she was kidding. Somebody came into the restaurant, sat with her, and was wearing my shirt.
Nice.
And she's like, God's playing jokes on me. Like, what's going on? And like, I was like, who is it? And she didn't know who it was. And like, I didn't remember, like, I have records of who bought the shirts and where they went. And I don't remember anyone buying a shirt that was in Chicago, that was local. So I have no idea who it was. And like, the odds of that are just so slim. I thought it was the funniest thing. And then like, I know another thing is that I can confirm, not saying I was there, not saying I wasn't there, but I know that there was somebody who was wearing a Frank the Clown shirt that got a lap dance at a strip club. That's all I'm saying. I can confirm that it happened. That's all I can say. And it wasn't me wearing it. So I'm not wearing my own shirts to the strip club.
Well then, that's more than I would have gotten out of that question. That's great.
Yeah.
Now, is there anything there's a lot of fans, believe it or not, who follow you guys. You, the Brock Lesnar guy, John Glick, all those guys, because you guys are the ultimate fans. Is there a next event that that you'll be going to that fans could see you at?
Yeah, I'm up in the air. Night of Champions is in Nashville in like 3 weeks. I'm up in the air about it. I'm 50-50. I'm either doing that or I'm going to the Rams and Cowboys game in St. Louis. So, we'll see about that. Otherwise, Raw's in Chicago, I think the week after that. So 100% I'll be there. I think it's September 29th. Absolute lock. I'll be there for that. Never miss a hometown show. It might be like a house show in Moline the night before. I think like SmackDown's in Milwaukee the night after. So that loop, I'll probably do 2 of the 3 shows at least. And then Night of Champions, again, like I haven't said no. It's totally a coin flip at this point. So one of those. So I got some stuff lined up coming up. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Now, I have to say that you've answered pretty much every question that we've thrown at you.
Yeah.
This is the time when I'm gonna bust out what I like to call the lightning round.
Okay.
So do the best you can as far as one-word answers. If you feel that you need to say something more.
Yeah, I'm a rambler, so I'll try to keep it to one word.
Well, I'm not gonna stop creative genius in the process, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first one I'm gonna lob one to you right here. John Cena.
The man.
Okay. Another John Glick.
Psychopath.
Okay. TNA.
Sucks.
Heath Slater.
Hilarious.
Noelle Foley.
No comments.
I thought I had you with that one. Layla.
Smoking hot.
And lastly, Brock Lesnar guy.
Smelly.
I was gonna write beside what I thought you would say, and I was pretty close with most of them. So
Yeah.
not with the smelly, because I don't, I haven't.
Just take my word for it.
When I met him at WrestleMania 29, he was not smelly, but I mean, I didn't really.
Was it before the show or after the show?
It was after, believe it or not.
Oh wow. Okay. No,
it was open air though. Let's just be honest about it.
That's true. It was a little chilly out.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So okay. Yeah.
Wow. I don't know, Jonathan. I think we've gotten everything out of the clown that we could have tonight. I mean, he answered a lot of stuff from us tonight, and I mean, we're gonna have to think of a lot more questions to get him back on another show.
Yeah. Before we go, Frank, is there any place? I know that you have a Twitter. Can you tell everybody where you're located on Twitter?
Yeah, I'm a big Twitter whore. I'm at Frank WWE Clown. I get on Instagram every so often. Same thing, same username. I got the T-shirts, barbershop window. I guess just look on your televisions. I could pop up at any time. I don't even know half the time where I'm going to wind up. It's a spur of the moment for the most part. Like, oh, Raw's in Des Moines tonight? All right, I woke up early enough. Let's drive. It's 5 hours. Okay. So that's kind of how my life works.
Now, just also, I feel like I should ask this earlier. With the recent iCloud scandal, are there going to be any like little clown pictures popping up anywhere? Or?
I sure hope not. I don't know. There's not a good answer for that, but I think we're safe for now. I don't know if anybody's going to be. If they're going to hack into somebody's iClouds, I like to think it's not going to be me. Like, go to Kim Kardashian or like Eva Mendes. Don't go to Frank the Clown.
Nice. All right, Frank. Well, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate your time tonight.
Yeah, man. I appreciate having me on. It was a lot of fun.